Hello, this is Rick Sneed. Today I want to share a tip that could potentially change your relationship with VantagePoint. Instead of the occasional, "Hi, how you doing?" understanding data grouping will turn you and VantagePoint into lifelong friends. I'm talking about grouping your data so that you can give the meaning and emphasis you need to convey the best possible analysis. This tip falls under the category of data refinement, where you find how to build new, custom fields from group names, as well as group editing functions. In VantagePoint, grouping is done with lists. Double-clicking any field in the summary sheet generates a list of all the unique items in the field, sorted by frequency. A list of phrases and words resulting from natural language processing of text fields. A list of classifications. A list of publication countries. A list of dates or years documents are published. The challenge is how to interpret or organize all these typically long lists into something more manageable, something that makes more sense in a report or helps you get a point across with a graphic. Herein lies the power of groups. There are a variety of grouping techniques, some very basic and others more advanced. This tip demonstrates two basic methods. First, simply selecting items as you browse a list and building groups as you go. The other is using the find function to search terms and add to groups. Using find is a perfect way to define the technology you're analyzing based on your terminology. More advanced grouping techniques covered in the other tips include find records that make it possible to search across multiple fields using and, or, and not with grouping the results. List comparison lets you compare one list to another and uses groups to identify what the two lists have in common as well as what is different. A great technique for comparing companies based on anything from patent classes to words and phrases of their respective claims. Using a co-occurrence matrix to build groups that identify items in one list associated with a second list. For example, a co-occurrence matrix of inventor versus assignee makes it possible to group a list of inventors by assignee name. And factor mapping that gives the option to group words and phrases frequently found together in the data set. Now we'll demonstrate the basic grouping techniques of first browsing a list and adding your selections to a group, and secondly using the find function to group a list. So here we are on the summary sheet of the dental composition sample file. I'm going to filter to priority country. We have a priority country with definitions. You'll notice the 9 groups that are already in there. Open it up and give you a sense of where we're headed. Here are all the groups, and then each of the countries that are listed added to the groups, a little checkbox. So jump back over, and to begin from scratch, we're going to make a copy. Just right-click, copy field, and we're not going to let any groups come over, so we're not going to check the box. And now we have what you'd start out with, the different countries. Japan, we'll add that to a group by right-clicking on it, and the group, we'll call it Asia. Click OK. And now we'll go over to the next, scanning down or browsing down, North America. We'll add United States of America to North America. The European Patent Office, I'm going to call it the Treaty Organization, and add that to the group. In China, well, we already have a group, so we'll just check the box off next to China. Germany, we need that, so we're going to make a group for Europe. And Korea, we already have an Asia group. Russia is part of Europe. Brazil, we need a group, so we're going to right-click, add selection to group. South America. And then we notice we have a string of countries that all belong to Europe. Holding down the Shift key, right-click, and then we'll just add to Europe. Could have held down the Control key just to give you a sense of how to browse these. Jumping back now, I'm going to open up our original list and work with the 9 groups to build a new field out of those 9 groups. Under the Refine tab, you'll see Create Field from Group Names. Selecting that, we will go in and name the new field, and I'm going to add it as Regions. And then we're going to select all. We could have selected some, just the ones that are important to us, but here they all are, new items within this new field. And selecting the top 4, go over to the reports, and we'll be able to build this pie chart. And a little more tidying up if you want. The font sizes, might want to enlarge them. You might also want to give it a clearer name. I like to name this Key Regions. Anyway, there you have it. Now let's demonstrate how to use the find function to group lists. We're going to use the abstract NLP phrases field. And you'll already see that in the sample data, it's been grouped. There's 11 groups. We'll open it up. And here you see the different groups, whitening agents, water soluble. These are terms that the user has used to define groups of terminology that's in the data. Like, for example, whitening agents, peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, whitening, and so on and so forth. These all considered to be in the text that are helpful in flagging the whitening agents, and there's 147 documents. So let's go back and try doing this from scratch. I'm going to right click, I'm going to copy the field, I'm not going to bring over the groups, and just get started here. So go with Control F, and you'll see that there is a basic and an advanced look of the find pop up. So if I click basic, you'll see a simple box of search capability, and then the more advanced allows you to look at the use different operators. We'll go with just a basic searching here. So search peroxide. Click select, and it finds all the records, and I want to add it to a group and name the group. So these are my whitening agents. So I'm going to clear the selection. If I don't clear the selection, then the next search will add to my previous search. So let's just clear the selection, and we'll go with whitening. Very basic. Select all, add to group. Let's make another group, the water-soluble polymers. So what was that? It was pectin. That's an easy one to search. I'm going to clear the selection, select all, and add to group. Oops, we'll call it polymers. There, and maybe one more, like xanthane gum. So clear selection, select all, add to group. There. So we'll close this out, and we have now the records that correspond to, and we might want to scroll up to find them, but that correspond to my whitening agents. Now we're going to turn this into a new field by using the field from group names capability, but let's do that on the larger set of fields. So I'm going to go back over the summary sheet and open it up, and then under the Refine tab you'll see Create Field from Group Names. So let's select that. And here's the field we're using, obviously, and we're going to have a new field that's generated. We'll just keep the same information. I'm going to select all of my groups except I don't want to have the multi-word phrase group. And just click OK. And here you have it. A new field with my terms allowing me to define the technology in reports such as, so let's just do a bubble chart. I'm going to go with my larger companies and the field that I just made. So if we run this, you'll be able to see a comparison of the different technologies, adhesive, antibacterial, and so forth, for the top 5 companies. I hope this helps. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this tip on grouping data in VantagePoint. It truly can give the meaning and emphasis you need to convey the best possible analysis. We hope you found it time well spent. Here's our email address if you need to contact us with any further questions. Have a good day, and goodbye.